This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to the new hour-long ABC7 at 7. In a little more than 24 hours, we'll know which Republican and which Democrat will face off this fall in races for the U.S. Senate, Congress, the state Senate, and state House. It is also your chance to pick who you want for school board, county commission, and many other races. Voters in Longboat Key will decide the fate of a proposed hotel and an amendment giving tax breaks for solar panels. Coming up tonight, our roundtable will dig into the hottest races, but first, let's get to the top 7 stories topping our news at 7. This is why the pharmaceutical industry has a bad rap. When someone has a severe allergic reaction, it can be a matter of life and death. But the company that makes EpiPens recently raised the price of its product from $100 to $600. There could, however, be some relief for those who need the medication here on the Suncoast. Mylan, the manufacturer behind EpiPen, announcing today it will begin selling a generic version of the product for half the price. A company on Bee Ridge Road is doing its part as well, selling the product for less than $200.
We're doing that because we're really trying to help people who can't afford, who don't have insurance, or their insurance won't cover it.
We'll have more on local ways to purchase EpiPens tonight at 11 o'clock. The race for president comes to the Suncoast. On Wednesday, Republican Vice Presidential nominee Mike Pence will be stopping in Sarasota. The Indiana governor will hold a town hall at the Hyatt Regency in Sarasota. The event will start at 4 p.m. For more information on the town hall and to register for tickets, just go to mysuncoast.com. Manatee County is launching a new program designed to hopefully cut down on the number of patients going to the emergency room. The paramedicine program aims to prevent unnecessary visits to the ER. Paramedics will work with those suffering from mental health or substance abuse issues and other medical issues. The program is funded by grants, but will be included in next year's public safety budget. A Sarasota man will spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of his landlord. John Melquest was sentenced today. In July, he was found guilty of second-degree murder. Investigators say Melquest killed Annalise Schweizhart in April of 2003. Although her body was never found, Melquest represented himself during the trial, pleading not guilty. Prosecutors used DNA evidence to link him to the crime. Melquest plans to appeal his sentence. Gas prices across the country are once again on the rise, including here on the Suncoast. The average cost of a gallon of regular unleaded jumped as much as 14 cents in a matter of days. AAA reports the price has risen in Florida for 11 consecutive days, now placing the average price around $2.23 per gallon. With a major storm threatening the Suncoast this week, boaters are being warned to make preparations. Bradenton Beach's Marine Unit is securing the anchors of boats on the Intercoastal Waterway. Marine officers say the risk of capsizing, boaters need to have flotation devices ready along with emergency plans. The mayor of Bradenton Beach says it is important to take these storms seriously.
We haven't had a major storm for 10 years, so a lot of people are a little bit complacent.
Marine officers plan to ticket unsafe boaters if necessary. With Zika out there, mosquito experts are reminding Florida residents to dump standing water in advance of the storms. Several inches of rain are expected across the area. With the Zika virus already in Florida, scientists say getting rid of potential mosquito breeding grounds will help prevent the spread of the virus. Zika-carrying mosquitoes are attracted to man-made containers. There are more than 500 travel-related Zika cases in Florida. Another 43 cases were contracted locally. 70 involve pregnant women. So, Bob, what are we in store for?
Well, let's talk about this for one thing. It's not a major storm. We're not looking at a major hurricane. Now, we will see some heavy rainfall, but not a major hurricane at all. Major hurricane was back in the day with Wilma, and we are going to see more than several inches. We could see as much as 10 inches of rainfall, and it's not a tropical storm yet. It's still a tropical depression, but it's soon to be a tropical storm, we think, as early as tonight. So just to clarify those three things, let's go to the maps to show you what's happening as far as that goes. The tropical disturbance yesterday turned into a tropical depression, meaning that it had a closed low. We are looking at some deep convection developing around what appears to be the center now, located about 80 miles north of the western tip of Cuba. It's moving to the west-northwest at around 10 miles an hour. There's a look at it. Top winds are at 35. That means it is below tropical storm status. In order for it to be called a tropical storm, the winds have to be at least 40 miles an hour or greater. And the forecast path and track take it off to the west-northwest, eventually bending it more to the north. Now, there is a slight opportunity for it to strengthen, but we are not looking at anything major at all developing out there in the Gulf of Mexico. We may see a Category 1 before it makes landfall sometime around Thursday afternoon. And right now, the best chance would be the Big Bend area of Florida. We still are in that bottom cone, though, and that means that all the rough weather will be to the right or to the east of the center there, as you see. And so we will get some very heavy rainfall out of this situation as it makes its way off toward the east and northeast. The radar review showing there's definitely some rotation and circulation there, and we are starting to see a little bit more action developing around the center, but it's still getting some shear and some drier air to the west of it, so we don't expect any kind of rapid intensification with this storm over the next 12 hours. But by tomorrow morning, say 5 a.m., it could have a name, and its name could either be Ian or Hermine. We're not too sold right now on the name because there's another storm east of North Carolina that also has a chance of developing into a tropical storm. So there's tropical depression number 8 and there's tropical depression number 9. We'll see which one wins out. I think this one will be Hermine, though.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, primary day is tomorrow. Do you know how you're going to vote? We'll have a look at some of the most contentious local races when we come back.
What does it mean when New South Window says Factory Direct?
It means we have a factory.
It means we eliminate the middleman.
It means you get an award-winning, energy-efficient window at factory direct prices.
I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. Replacing your windows will not just beautify your home, but save you big bucks on your energy bills. I've done the research. I've seen the factory. New South Window is my hands-down choice.
New South Window. We manufacture, we install, we guarantee. Call now.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose, big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPB.
US Med has great news for anyone living with diabetes.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, US Med will ship a new glucose meter right to your home.
And shipping is free.
My new meter uses only a speck of blood, so it's less painful than my previous meter.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, you're covered with US Med. We're welcoming new patients, even if your current provider can't supply you anymore.
I don't even have to test on my fingers anymore. I can test on my hand or forearms, and it's more accurate than my old meter.
So call US Med today, and you'll have a choice of 2 great meters.
One that actually speaks your results, or a meter so small it fits on the bottle of strips.
Act now, and US Med will include a free prescription discount card. We'll also send you a free diabetes cookbook. This is your opportunity.
So call US Med today.
You'll be glad you did.
40 Carrots Family Center and the Community Foundation of Sarasota County present a free speaker event, The Gift of Failure, How the Best Parents Learn to Let Go so Their Children Can Succeed, featuring author and educator Jessica Leahy at Hyatt Regency Sarasota on Monday, September 12th. Discover how to motivate kids to learn for the sake of learning. Wean kids off rewards, bribes, and parental reminders, and approach parenting as a journey toward competence. RSVP required at 40carrots.org. That's FORTY carrots.org.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
We will finally know who faces who in November. Primary day is tomorrow, but before Democrats face off with Republicans, Democrats and Republicans have to face off against each other, and it has been nasty in some cases. ABC7's Dwayne Lindo joins us with more. Dwayne.
Well, Alan, it has, and in less than 24 hours, voters across Sarasota County will decide each party's candidate in the Senate race.
Tuesday's ballot will include partisan primary races for the U.S. Senate, several congressional races, along with seats in the state legislature.
I think most people really underestimate the importance of state legislative races.
Highlighting that importance, former House Representative and current political science professor Keith Fitzgerald says your daily life may be more impacted by government at the state level than what happens in Washington.
It controls the actual implementation of environmental policy. It controls roads. It controls the delivery of health care for a huge proportion of our population.
One in particular, District 23 state Senate seat last held by Republican Nancy Dietert.
We have 5 candidates who are running in the Republican primary and 2 in the Democratic primary. Come November, we'll have 1 Democrat representative and 1 Republican representative.
But one race on the ballot will decide an outright winner.
We're actually doing the school board race right now, and it is the general election.
A highly contested race which includes incumbent school board member Caroline Zucker and challenger Teresa Mast, both Republican candidates. But Zucker is considered moderate on a number of issues, and Mast more conservative. According to the Democrat Party of Sarasota's Susan Nylon, this race is the tipping point of the direction of the school board.
So you have one candidate that's been on the school board for many years and has gotten everybody to, top in the state, and you have another candidate that has professed to take the school board in a completely different direction.
Voters will also have a chance to decide whether to approve an amendment to the state constitution that supporters say is aimed at encouraging the use of solar energy.
If you didn't care about any of the other stuff, and you do care about, say, promoting alternative energy, you still want to show up just for that amendment.
Now, Northport residents will also vote for commissioner seats in Districts 1, 2, and 3.
All right, Dwayne, thank you. And in a moment, our all-star roundtable.
Music on Main at Lakewood Ranch. If you haven't been, come on out and see what you've been missing. The first Friday of every month, you can enjoy a free concert, dancing, great food, and lots of fun for every family member, even the furry ones. Catch up with friends, enjoy free activities for the kids, or make it date night. Whatever your pleasure, there's something for everyone at Music on Main, the first Friday of every month at Lakewood Ranch. Brought to you by these sponsors at ABC7. Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who has taken Xarelto or Pradaxa. If you or a loved one took the blood thinner medication Xarelto or Pradaxa and was then hospitalized for internal bleeding, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to serious, even fatal internal bleeding. If you suffered a stroke, heart attack, or serious internal bleeding, or if a loved one died after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call us now. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting the big pharmaceutical companies and is ready to fight for you. Potential claims are being reviewed for users of Xarelto or Pradaxa who have suffered severe bleeding or hemorrhaging, stroke, or even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing unless your case is settled. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone.
Please call 800-928-6604. That is 800-928-6604.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. We promise we're more than a dealership. We're a destination with a movie theater, massage room, aquarium, cafe, and more. We promise to give you top dollar for your trade, even if you don't buy from us. And if you do, we promise you the best deal. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
24 hours from now, the results will be pouring in and we'll be trying to make sense of them. So let's look at the different races on the ballot with our expert roundtable. Joining us tonight is Kevin Griffith, the vice chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party, Rod Thompson, the president of the Sarasota Republican Club, and Zach Anderson, the political editor of the Sarasota Herald Tribune and a very busy young man these days. The hottest race must be the state Senate race because you have so many high-profile Republicans running and an unexpected Democratic primary. And I'm wondering what you folks take are of the Republican side of things, because obviously you have Doug Holder and Greg Steube, who in the latest polling are running neck and neck. It's a really tight race. Any predictions who's going to come up on top?
I can tell you who the winner is going to be. The political advertisers in this race. I think it's probably one of the most expensive state Senate races, if not the most expensive state Senate race in a long time.
What's so much shocking is how much Political Action Committee money has poured in on those races, and I just saw an ad before Greg Steube being hammered about the Enterprise Florida situation, and that seems like to be the dividing lines there.
Yeah, and they're all really hitting each other. Nobody's hands are really clean in this race. You see all of them have their allies and their political action committees who have really gone negative. That just shows how close this race really is. They all are kind of, there's three candidates: Nora Patterson, former county commissioner, Greg Steube, state representative, and former state representative Doug Holder, who all seem to be kind of close, clustered near each other, and then State Representative Ray Pilon is also in the mix there, and they all kind of, there's only so much they can do to pump themselves up. They obviously feel like they have to knock the other ones down too.
Well, I think the point that I would make on some of the negative advertising is, unfortunately, it's because it works, and we know this across parties it works. And so when you have a close race like this, campaigns often spend their own money promoting the positive persona of their candidates, and then PACs go negative and attack the other. So the negative campaigning really works well for the middle voters. Those that are on one side or the other generally know who they're going to vote for, and they're fairly informed. Probably people watching tonight are fairly well informed, but there's going to be a chunk of people that will go out and vote, and they can be persuaded by negative advertising on TV and in flyers, and unfortunate.
What's interesting there is you have two very conservative candidates, in Holder and Steube, and against two relatively moderate Republicans in terms of Nora Patterson and Ray Pilon. Does that kind of cancel each other out?
No, I don't think so, because I think you see that it's probably going to come down to, the predictions long have been it will probably be between Steube and Holder right at the end there, and those are the more conservative ones. And Nora has great name recognition. You know, Ray does too, particularly in Northern County. But it's hard to see it not being one of those two, and that's probably because it is a right of center, even Republican-wise.
And we should also mention Rick Levine, who has not gotten a lot of press, but he's also in this race. And I'm interested in what the dynamic will be in terms of the Democratic side of things, depending on who wins the Republican side. If it's Holder or Steube who are more conservative, does that in any way help the Democrat who comes out of that primary?
Well, I think the issues are what helps the Democrat the most, because they'll be right on the issues. But the more conservative the candidate that comes out, and I think it's likely to be one of the most conservative, the more that will help the winner tomorrow on the Democratic side for sure. And I think there will be more money coming in that general elections.
But it's not a seat that the Florida Democratic Party has really targeted.
Not yet, but I think depending on the outcome tomorrow, it very well could be. There's certainly money out there this year.
And Zach, what do you make of the Democratic side of the race? You have Frank Alcock, who is a well-known political science professor and who is our ABC political analyst, against a guy who just graduated from college just a couple of months ago, Frank Cirillo.
Yeah, it's really interesting that the Democrats even have a primary. This is a seat that leans Republican. Democrats often really don't have competitive primaries around here. They sometimes struggle to get one qualified candidate to run for offices that typically lean Republican, let alone two. And both of these candidates are fairly credible candidates. They're both well-spoken, smart candidates, but Alcock has raised more money. Cirillo is just out of college, but a lot of people I've talked to, even Republicans, have been impressed that he's basically been able to hold his own at these candidate forums. But I think in the end, Alcock being able to put out a few mailers is probably going to put him over the top, but who knows?
And with his experience, too, that really makes a difference. He's well known and well respected as far as knowing the issues and policies and that sort of thing. And the other Frank is brand new. Great experience for him, but it's hard to see him really actually beating Alcock.
Well, does the particular dynamics from this year with a very competitive presidential race and a maximum turnout in terms of Democrats and Republicans, would that help, let's say, Frank Alcock, should he pull it out, if he's going up against one of the more conservative Republicans?
I don't think so, because I'm not sure that the premise, I would agree with the premise, that I think that the turnout, Trump has brought a ton of new voters in. So the question is, how good is the turnout going to be among the traditional Republican voters? Because I think you're going to get a lot of new voters on the Trump ticket, on the Trump side there. I don't know that Hillary Clinton is inspiring on the Democrat side, like, say, President Obama definitely inspired hugely in 2008. And without Hillary being able to do that, I don't know that that's where the momentum is on turnout.
Let me counter that just briefly. If you look at the numbers so far of people who have voted, because a lot of people have already voted by mail or early voted, the percent of votes in so far, the Democrats have a larger percent. Now, not a total, because there's more Republicans in the county, but that's showing there is motivation for the Democrats. And I would also kind of go against that premise as well, in the sense that I don't necessarily think a large turnout benefits one side or the other this year, because I'm not so sure new Trump voters are loyal to the Republican Party all the way down the ticket.
It's an interesting point, because there was an article in Politico today saying those new Republican voters are old Democratic voters who have in reality not voted Democrat for many years now.
Yeah, there's been kind of mixed reporting on really how many new voters Trump is really bringing into the process. If you talk to Democrats, I mean, their big hope, one of the things that they're really looking at this election cycle is they think, Trump, based on some of his controversies, could really crater towards the end, and that'll pull down other Republicans, lower down ballot Republicans. But I tend to agree with Rod as well that Clinton, there's a big question about whether she can get the enthusiasm and turnout that somebody like Obama did.
We have just a couple of seconds left here, but I'm wondering if anybody is kind of shocked in terms of Joe Gruder's race here. He is in a very close primary right now against
Steve Vernon.
Steve Vernon, and even some of Joe's friends saying this is going to be tough for him to pull
I think
out.
this is the most surprising local race of the year. Steve Vernon, who wasn't known at all really, but has been active kind of behind the scenes. He was president of Tea Party Manatee. He's president of Lakewood Ranch Republican Club. He's independently wealthy. He decides that he's going to challenge Joe Gruders. People thought that Gruders was going to walk into this race. He raised a lot of money and he's well known.
I am only a little bit surprised, because Joe is well known by some, but Steve is very well known and respected. I'm friends of both of them, and Steve has been known for many years now and is well respected within the party.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll hear what Sarasota's Supervisor of Elections is saying about voter turnout for the primary in our expert interview.
On Saturday, September 10th, thousands will walk together at Nathan Benderson Park for the 2016 Suncoast Heart Walk. I'm Scott Dennis, ABC7. Join us for an inspiring, fun-filled day as we raise funds, celebrate survivors, and honor loved ones lost. The Suncoast Heart Walk is the American Heart Association's premier event to fight cardiovascular diseases. The 2016 Suncoast Heart Walk, September 10th. And for more information, visit suncoastheartwalk.org and take the first steps towards living a heart-healthy life.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
They took that stress and that tension when I was particularly feeling very bad after that nasty car accident, and it was such a relief to know that I didn't have to bear that burden alone, that I had help.
Our goal is to not just get a satisfactory settlement on their case. We want them up on their feet, happy again. They've gotten their life back.
Early voting ended on the Suncoast Saturday evening. Record numbers of Suncoast voters cast their ballots before Election Day. ABC7's Rebecca Vargas spoke with Sarasota's Supervisor of Elections, Kathy Dent, this morning about early voting, and that is tonight's expert interview.
We're processing absentee ballots. We're still taking requests for the coming election. We are delivering the equipment. The clerks are coming to pick up all of their supplies for tomorrow. So there's a lot of hustle and bustle around here today. I really think that we've got some local races that are really important. Our state Senate race for both the Democrats and the Republicans. There are, I think, 7 candidates altogether on both sides. And our school board race is drawing a lot of attention. We're electing county commissioners. There's some important things on our ballot. Absentee and early voting combined, over 44,000 have already voted. That's 15.1% of all of our voters, which is fantastic for a primary. Normally in Sarasota County, we hover around 20% for a primary election. I'm looking closer to 30, 25 to 30, because going into tomorrow we'll already have 15%. People need to go tomorrow to their polling location. There's no voting at any of the early voting sites or in any of the offices, unless someone's there to pick up a ballot in an emergency situation.
Turnout has been good, but there is still time to vote. Polls open at 7 a.m. tomorrow and remain open until 7 p.m. When we return, we'll have more from our roundtable. We want to hear from you as well. If you have any questions or comments about the primary, just let us know on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News at 7. You could have your questions answered in the second half of our show.
If you want 24/7 access to ABC7's breaking news stories, weather forecasts, traffic alerts, health reports, dining segments, local events, Suncoast View, and more ABC7 specialty programming, now there's good news. Introducing the free ABC7 channel on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Your 24/7 access to ABC7. Just search ABC7 on your streaming device and download your free ABC7 app now.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to their heart or lungs. Did your IVC filter move, break, or cause organ damage? The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, even death. If you or a loved one suffered serious complications, call IVC Filter Helpline now. You may be entitled to compensation. IVC filters are designed to prevent blood clots. If your IVC filter moved or broke and you suffered heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, or if a loved one died as a result, call IVC Filter Helpline today. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone. Call IVC Filter Helpline now.
Please call 800-897-6764. That is 800-897-6764.
Attention breast cancer survivors. If you experience permanent hair loss or baldness after chemotherapy, you may qualify for a cash award. Thousands of women suffering breast cancer were given a chemotherapy drug without being warned about the possibility of irreversible alopecia. If you or a loved one suffered permanent hair loss after chemotherapy, call 888-622-8732. Time to file a claim is limited. 888-622-8732. That's 888-622-8732.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half-mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. And all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. Independence U for an independent you.
1-800-350-9872.
Welcome back to the new hour-long version of ABC7 at 7. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Florida's August primary. Tomorrow is primary day, and our panel is here to make sense of the different races. We are joined by Kevin Griffith, the vice chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party, Rod Thompson, president of the Sarasota Republican Club, and Zach Anderson, the political editor for the Sarasota Herald Tribune. Let's talk about the U.S. Senate race, because it was really turned on its head when Marco Rubio jumped back into the fray. We were in some uncharted waters before that, and we had, Carlos Baruf, our own Manatee County home builder, who was in a pretty strong position before Rubio got into the race, with a lot of other Republicans who were fairly unknown statewide. But when Rubio and most of them jumped out, Baruf stayed in, and Rubio, according to the latest polls, is substantially up against Carlos Baruf. What do we all make of this race?
I think that, first of all, I was a little bit surprised that Carlos stayed in, but knowing him, it is part of his personality, too, because he's that, Cuban immigrant fighter sort of thing and all, and he's not going to give up when everybody else left.
But was he banking on the fact that during the presidential race, there was so much talk about the fact that Rubio really did not pay attention to the state over the last 6 years, and that a lot of people were resentful of that, and that maybe that would bite him?
I think he thought that he could use that, and that he could attach himself to Trump with the popularity, because Trump beat Rubio in the state pretty handily, really. And I think those two things he thought with his money could help him be very competitive with Rubio. It doesn't look like it's turned out that way, but I think that's what he was thinking, and a little bit of just never give up in him.
I want to show you all something very interesting. I interviewed Carlos Baruf on this broadcast a couple of months ago, and we talked about him skipping out on a Republican debate in South Florida, and this is what he had to say. Is it important for you to debate your Republican challengers?
When there's somebody worth debating. At this point, I don't think there is any.
Wouldn't it be useful for Republican voters in Florida to see you on stage with the other candidates for the U.S. Senate?
At the appropriate time, I'm sure we will have that opportunity.
So it is just a little bit ironic that Marco Rubio never debated Carlos Baruf. Any surprises there, Zach?
No, not at all. There's no incentive for Rubio to debate Baruf. It really just gives Baruf some publicity and raises his profile, and his profile is fairly low. I mean, if you look at the poll digits, or maybe 10-12%. So for Rubio, it just made absolute sense to ignore him, and maybe it made sense for Baruf at the time to ignore his other opponents. And when I asked him, are you mad that Rubio didn't debate you, because he's kind of taken some shots at him and said you're a coward, you should debate me, and he kind of acknowledged that it's kind of how the game is played, and that it doesn't behoove Rubio to debate him.
And Baruf has said that he will not be running for another office. Do we believe him?
Well, he sort of said that. I mean, he's kind of held the door open. He said that I'm running for the Senate now, and I'm not going to think about the presidential race. But I think most people expect him to run for president again.
Kevin, let me ask you about the Democratic side. Patrick Murphy, the congressman from the West Palm Beach area, against Alan Grayson, the bombastic congressman from Orlando. That's an understatement. There has not been a lot of polling on the Democratic side of that. The last poll I saw was Murphy up by 8 points. I know Alan Grayson is fond of saying his supporters would walk over hot coals to vote for him, but he has been banged around a lot with stories about his personal life and stories about an ethics investigation. Do you think that Murphy is safe there, or Grayson could come out on top?
No, I think, I mean, I don't have any insight beyond just general, but I think Patrick Murphy's probably pretty safe there.
And the polls that I've seen in terms of the comparison between Grayson or Murphy versus Rubio, Rubio still wins against both Democrats, but it's a substantially closer race if it's Murphy against Rubio.
And that makes sense because Grayson is much further left than Murphy is. And so I'm kind of heartened to see that the Democrats don't look like they'll probably nominate Grayson. I mean, he's over there a ways. But in a general election, that makes Murphy a much more competitive, I think, candidate for the Democrats against Rubio.
And Kevin, you know, the Democrats put a lot of hope and money behind Patrick Murphy. I mean, he was helped along and endorsed by the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. Harry Reid actually told Alan Grayson, "I hope you lose." But he has not exactly lit the world on fire. There was stories about him padding his educational record and his business record. You know, he was the fair-haired boy, and it really did not turn out that way.
Well, I think it may very well still turn out that way. I've met Patrick many times. He's a very intelligent guy. He is a CPA. It was a hit piece put on by the Republicans.
But he is not licensed in the state of Florida.
No, he's licensed in Colorado. But, I mean, he's still a CPA. He still has that credential. He's still intelligent enough to be a CPA. He also did own a company. It's just...
That didn't do very much business.
Well, it participated, or it was also run by his father. But at the same time, I mean, he has credentials. He's been a two-term congressman, defeated Allen West. He's very capable. I mean, he's a young guy. He's 35 years old or 36 years old. I think he's going to be more formidable than people may assume.
Zach, your take?
I think there are a lot of questions surrounding him. The Democratic establishment really did get behind him. Obama, Vice President Biden, everybody has really rallied behind him. And, you know, he is a very young guy, and he's very untested. You know, he's never run for a statewide office. And some of these allegations did come out, some of the questions about his background, and it'll be interesting to see whether he can kind of move beyond that. But I think at this point you have somebody like Rubio, who's been on the national stage, who's debated, who's obviously very eloquent, and somebody like Murphy, who's a lot more untested. You have to give the edge to Rubio.
And you've got to say that Marco Rubio does have his detractors and some hits on him, including his attendance record in the U.S. Senate while he was running for president, and some of those lingering resentments about how little he's actually been around the state over 6 years.
And I'm sure the winner of the Democrat party, you know, the candidate for them, will end up attacking him on those points. Those are probably his only real weak points, and they will probably attack him on there. Maybe some policy differences, but you know, when you're looking for an election win, it'll be on those points. I would say that in Murphy's case, those were mainstream newspaper stories about him and his business, and he beat Allen West after redistricting changed the district.
And I want to get briefly to our local congressional race. The two Democrats vying against Vern Buchanan and you know, Jan Schneider has run several times before. She is up against Brent King, an airline pilot who is very well spoken and an intelligent man. Neither has really raised a lot of money.
No, but they're both very qualified, and that's going to be an interesting one to see who pulls that out. Jan's been on the ballot several times. Brent King's a very impressive guy, like you said, an airline pilot, and quite articulate on the issues. It's going to be interesting.
Zach, does either one have a chance, even in a year where a presidential year where Democratic turnout is going to be high?
Never say never, but I think the Buchanan is the overwhelming favorite. This looks to be pretty much of a dud of a race at this point. Jan Schneider is sort of the definition of a perennial candidate. She keeps running, she keeps losing. Brent King hasn't raised any money. He isn't known at all. So whoever emerges from that is really not expected to be a very strong candidate against Buchanan.
What impact will congressional redistricting have on this? Because this is not the same seat that, I mean, it extends into Hillsborough County.
It's not, but so it used to be all of Sarasota County and all of Manatee County. Now the district is all of Manatee County the northern half of Sarasota County and a southern portion of Hillsborough County. So you basically swap southern Sarasota County for the southern sliver of Hillsborough County, and that's still very conservative voters in southern Hillsborough County. I think the numbers I saw are pretty similar to the way the district was before, so I still think it leans Republican by a pretty good amount.
So what does Vern Buchanan do? Does he debate his Democratic challenger, or does he do what, what Rubio did to Baruf, and you ignore your opponent if they're that far behind in the polls?
If you're his campaign manager, what you do is you look at the polls, and if it's a huge difference, I mean, the reason Rubio did this, and everybody does it on either side, is that if there's a huge difference and your guy is way ahead, there is no upside to debating whatsoever. So if he's way ahead of either Jan Schneider or the other guy running, then there's no purpose in him.
The one upside, excuse me for interrupting, but the one upside would be you'd actually talk about the issues that impact your constituents' lives.
Well, that's wonderful, but it doesn't add a seat to the Congress. And I have talked to both candidates, and they're out there, and they are, they are talking to Democratic voters. They're talking to people in the African American community and the Hispanic community, but without really substantial funds. How do you reach the voter who is not really a strong Democrat or Republican, but is out there trying to listen?
Well, after the primary, whoever wins that is going to have enough money to get their message out. I would say this: look for Vern Buchanan to underperform his past numbers, even if it's a, quote, dud of a race, as you guys have said.
Well, he barely won his first. Barely.
All right, we'll leave it there. When we return, we'll have a look at our weather forecast, which is going to be quite rainy over the next few days.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Have you seen the spray paint murals popping up in Sarasota's Rosemary District? I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. The artist is here to explain how his art is meant to unify and inspire a sense of community. In Sounds of the Suncoast, the singer who's appeared on Ellen shares his talents both on mic and as a professional world champion jump roper. Plus Money Matters and the new restaurant Veronica Fish and Oyster.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Hurricane season is here. Are you prepared? ABC7 has the information you need. Access our special Surviving a Hurricane now. Learn how to prepare a readiness plan and survival kit. Know your evacuation route. Be prepared, Suncoast, when severe weather threatens. Access our special on our ABC7 app and all our live streaming platforms.
Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Roku.
Batteries Plus bulbs keep stacks of batteries for cars, cell phones, watches, plus light bulbs for lamps, can lights, and appliances right on hand. Did I mention we also repair smartphones? Batteries Plus bulbs. Trust the plus. Visit Batteries Plus bulbs today.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
Our roundtable discussion continues in just a moment, but right now let's get a check on our Suncoast weather from ABC7 Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, looking at the Van Weezer webcam, we've had some showers moving through this evening. Some of those have been heavy at times, and that's what we're in for the next several days. And I think they'll only get more intense and a little bit heavier as far as the rain goes. You can see the radar loop continuing to show an abundance of moisture continues streaming up from the south right on into central Florida right now. This gives you a little indication there's still some instability in the atmosphere. We have showers developing also into Highlands and DeSoto counties right now. And you can see the actual low pressure center is right here. So this is where the tropical depression is. is, but look at all the moisture. It's well to the east of the center, and that means we're in for all this rainfall, looks like, periodically throughout the day on Tuesday, becoming more intense on Wednesday and Thursday, eventually subsiding somewhat on Friday. So we're in for a few days of rain. At least some areas could see up to 10 inches before it's all said and done. Just today is a little brief period of rain from about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Brought over 2.5 inches of rainfall in places of Sarasota east of I-75, up to 2 inches of rain right there to the southwest of Osprey. And you can see up to 1.5 inches near Nokomis. It had just about 2 inches, and that all came down in about an hour's worth of time. Here's one forecast model and projection of rainfall for the upcoming days, and you can see it really starts to peak on Wednesday and Thursday right here along west central Florida. In fact, if you look across the state, the heaviest rain projection is into Sarasota, Manatee, and Hillsborough counties over the upcoming days. And as I mentioned, up to 10 inches possible, especially for coastal communities. And with the ground already saturated, a lot of this is just going to be runoff, causing some significant problems with flooding, I believe, for Wednesday and Thursday. 81 right now. Dew point is at 74. The pressure has been falling to 9.90 inches. And the high today, despite the clouds and showers this afternoon, warmed to 93. Not close to the record, though, of 98. Just 3/100ths of an inch of rainfall at the Sarasota Bradenton Airport. Temperatures have cooled significantly here, although in Tallahassee, still hot, 90. 78 in Orlando. You can see temperatures in the mid-70s in places like Sebring, Avon Park, Arcadia, and even into Venice, and temperature 81 in both Sarasota and Cortez. Well, the overall satellite structure of this system looking a little bit better organized right near the center. Now, it's been kind of void of deep convection or thunderstorms all day long, with most of the heavy rain into the western tip of Cuba, where they did see 10 inches of rainfall today. And now we are starting to see this gaining a little bit of strength, or at least organization, about 90 miles northwest of the western tip of Cuba. It's pushing off to the west-northwest at 5 miles an hour. And there's the path. Now, there's a chance for it to gain a little strength here because the shear will lessen somewhat. And then the winds could be as high as 50 miles an hour by Wednesday morning. And then it takes a bend off to the northeast. That's associated with a trough of low pressure coming down. And with that trough, it means the Big Bend area of Florida has the most likely area of getting the direct impact. However, I caution folks to not just focus on the center area. A lot of the rough weather is going to be well to the east of the center, and that puts us at risk. On top of that, it could be more on this line on the east and southeast end of that cone of uncertainty. Top winds making landfall somewhere around 65 miles an hour. And it could be up to a Category 1 hurricane. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, the projections are for a strong tropical storm to make landfall sometime Thursday in the Big Bend area of Florida. There's plenty of warm water out here for it to gain strength, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And as far as the shear goes, that shear will lessen somewhat tomorrow, right where the storm is going to be, and it means a more favorable environment for the possibility of tropical development on Tuesday. More than likely, we'll be dealing with a tropical storm as early as tonight's advisory, which comes at 11 o'clock, or tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Well, windy weather anticipated Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with showers and storms, some of that heavy at times. As I alluded to, some areas getting 10 inches of rain, and that will definitely cause some flooding problems. We will also see the possibility of a slight storm surge, too. We'll keep you up to date. We'll have more coming up at 11 o'clock.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.
Hi, I'm Dylan Radigan. The world is brimming with possibilities. That keeps me busy. My latest invention may be able to feed and sustain communities around the world. My team and I are always on the go, meeting new people and seeing new places. I produce films that I really care about. It's an honor to speak to audiences around the world. When people come together, meaningful work gets done. How do I do all this? Well, that part's easy. Hotelplanner.com.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who has taken Xarelto or Pradaxa. If you or a loved one took the blood thinner medication Xarelto or Pradaxa and was then hospitalized for internal bleeding, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to serious, even fatal internal bleeding. If you suffered a stroke, heart attack, or serious internal bleeding, or if a loved one died after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call us now. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting the big pharmaceutical companies and is ready to fight for you. Potential claims are being reviewed for users of Xarelto or Pradaxa who have suffered severe bleeding or hemorrhaging, stroke, or even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing unless your case is settled. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone.
Please call 800-928-6604. That is 800-928-6604.
Welcome back. We are speaking with our roundtable about tomorrow's primary election. Now our guests are Kevin Griffith, the Vice Chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party, Rod Thompson, President of the Sarasota Republican Club, and Zach Anderson, the political editor for the Sarasota Herald Tribune. Final thoughts, Zach.
Well, I think this state Senate race is the most fascinating one in our area, and it's the one that I'll be watching most closely. It's the most crowded state Senate race in the entire state, with 5 Republicans and 2 Democrats running, and one of the most expensive and nastiest. And I think it'll really take the temperature of the local GOP. This seat has been held by a moderate Republican for going back decades. Nancy Dieter is considered fairly moderate. She's the one leaving. And you have 2 more conservative candidates, 2 more moderate Republican candidates. And so, you know, depending on who emerges there, I think that'll really say which direction the local GOP is going.
I agree. That's the key race to watch tomorrow. I mean, there's a lot of important races, but that's probably the key race to watch, because not only does it take the temperature of the GOP, but it also sets up the general election in November. And I personally think that the winner of it is going to emerge strong, because they're going to have such name recognition already coming out of the primary and all. And I think that they're going to be well situated to be able to unite the local party behind them moving into the general.
I got to ask about the Joe Gruters race. If it does not go his way, what does that say?
Well, that would be a shocker if it doesn't go his way. But what it would really say is that Steve Vernon did a heck of a ground game going door-to-door knocking. That he's knocked on thousands of doors.
And touching on door-to-door and local campaigns in Northport, there's 3 races up at the city commission level, and Rhonda DeFranco is the sitting vice mayor. And I know she's been knocking on doors and running very hard, and there's been an anti-push against her coming from the Republican side, even though it's a nonpartisan race. And I think Rhonda's going to come out on top.
What campaign, what race are you most excited about?
The state Senate race is going to be interesting because on both sides, you know, I like primaries. And I think we have a primary on both sides, and someone will come out and we'll move forward to the general.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. We want to take a moment to share some of the comments from our viewers about Friday's show. We told you about Amendment 4, which gives tax breaks to those who install solar panels. Here is what some of you are saying about the amendment. Rachel Roberts-Bethel writes, "No to Amendment 1 and yes to Amendment 4. Clean energy is the future and solar is the way to go. Solar energy will bring back many jobs to Florida. It's a no-brainer in my opinion." John Beavers writes, "It is beyond stupid to penalize people using clean alternative energy and protect the big corporations." And Tracy Dietrich writes, "I am voting yes on 4 and no on 1. I appreciate you bringing clarity to this very important issue." I want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Kevin Griffith is the Vice Chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party. Rod Thompson, the President of the Sarasota Republican Club. And Zach Anderson, Politics Editor for the Sarasota Herald Tribune. We will return in a moment to bring you up to date on news headlines making news at this hour, so stay with us.
It's time to upgrade your favorite news app. Now, ABC7's My Suncoast News app is better than ever with a dynamic brand new design that's faster and easier to use. Stay connected with new features that make it easy to submit photos, share stories on Facebook and Twitter, and save stories for reading at a later time. Download our free My Suncoast News app on your mobile device at your app store. ABC7's all-new My Suncoast News app. Just another way we're here for you. Powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life. Tomorrow on ABC7 News at 7.
Over 44,000 have already voted. That's 15.1% of all of our voters, which is fantastic for a primary.
A record primary on the Suncoast. The final day of voting is here. We'll bring you the live results along with expert analysis. I'm Alan Cohn. We'll have that story, plus our roundtable discussion.
Tomorrow on ABC7 News at 7. Your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Music on Main at Lakewood Ranch. If you haven't been, Come on out and see what you've been missing. The first Friday of every month, you can enjoy a free concert, dancing, great food, and lots of fun for every family member, even the furry ones. Catch up with friends, enjoy free activities for the kids, or make it date night. Whatever your pleasure, there's something for everyone at Music on Main, the first Friday of every month at Lakewood Ranch. Brought to you by these sponsors at ABC7.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
He made us laugh in so many memorable roles, from Willy Wonka to Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and so many other films. Actor Gene Wilder has died. Wilder passed away last night due to complications from Alzheimer's disease. According to his nephew, Wilder had struggled with the disease for 3 years. The actor was a master at playing panic characters caught up in schemes. Gene Wilder was 83 years old. Here on the Suncoast, tomorrow is primary day, but thousands of voters on the Suncoast have already taken advantage of early voting. In Manatee County, unofficial early voting totals are 4,785. It was an even larger turnout in Sarasota County, 9,774 statewide. Nearly 1.7 million Floridians have cast their ballots, a majority through voting by mail. There have been some changes to polling locations in Sarasota County. You can find your precinct by going to our website, mysuncoast.com, and clicking links we mentioned at the bottom of the home page. Some Suncoast pharmacies are doing everything in their power to keep the price down of EpiPens. The effort comes after drug maker Mylan raised the price of the life-saving product from $100 to $600. A generic version of EpiPen is being made available at half price, but local pharmacies are working hard to make sure those who need the product have access. We'll have more on that story coming up at 11 o'clock. And that is all the time we have for this evening. Be sure to join us tomorrow night as we bring you the latest primary results live. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night.